Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to tonight's show of Startup Junkie. If you don't know who I am, of course, I'm doing it all myself tonight. I am your host, AJ, and you can catch the Startup Junkie live, multi-streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope / Twitter, as well as soon to come, frequently, IG Live. And if you hadn't had a chance to definitely check us out, also be sure to check us out on on all your favorite podcasting networks. The Startup Junkie live show, actually podcast, you can be found on Apple iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, as well as iHeartMedia. So tonight we're gonna do something a little bit different. All right. I am going to come to you and give you something a little bit different, as I promised that I would. All right. I promised you that I would basically keep everyone informed on what was going on with the stimulus. Okay. Now, it's been incredibly frustrating to watch I would say negotiations, or the non-negotiations that are actually going on within the Senate at this time. Because when you think about it, more than a month ago, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and they rallied all of the Democrats in the House to pass the HEROES Act, which basically, in essence, was about $3.2 trillion that addressed everything from funding states, for contact tracing, for testing as it relates to the current pandemic, as well as giving money to schools, to make sure that they could allocate those funds to protect the youngins, so to speak. So, and of course, they addressed a new round of stimulus checks for hardworking Americans who might be experiencing financial difficulty with having to, one, maybe take care of family members, two, maybe having their hours cut, and three, those family members who may have been laid off, and even trying to help them, or even putting money out there for unemployment. And of course, unless you've been hiding under a rock, the $600 extension per week, or unemployment boost, actually ends at the end of this week, actually at the end of this month. And right now, Republicans can't even agree. And no worries, I am going to break it down. I'm going to tell you exactly what they can agree on. I'm going to tell you the new figure that they're kind of playing with versus a percentage of your paycheck that you lost when you got furloughed, or when you got laid off, or when your job just completely went away, that they want to give you. And that number is 70. So keep that in mind. Okay, but since this is the state of play, I am going to start this off, like I said, this very special segment, because there's so many things going on. I just have to talk to you about this and kind of step away a little bit from sharing things like the business model canvas and what books to read and all of the things that I do in the Startup Junkie to help your startup or your existing business grow to scale. All right. So with that said, I am going to start off tonight's very special segment, which we call State of Play, by actually sharing some videos with you. And then once I share these videos with you, I am going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about what it means. All right. So check out this first video. Check it out.
And joining us now, Secretary of the Treasury, Steven Mnuchin. Mr. Secretary, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
House Democrats passed their relief bill back in May, fully 2 months ago. But here we are, the last week in July, and the White House and Senate Republicans still can't agree on just a GOP package. Meanwhile, a federal ban on evictions ran out yesterday. Federal unemployment benefits run out on Friday, and the last checks have already gone out. And the payroll protection program for businesses is running out early next month. Here's Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer.
They have been so divided, so disorganized, so unprepared that they have struggled to even draft a partisan proposal within their own conference. They can't come together.
Won't millions of Americans and millions of businesses pay the price because the White House and Senate Republicans can't get your act together?
Well, Chris, first let me say I think that's an unfair characterization. The administration and the Senate Republicans are completely on the same page. Mark Meadows and I were up yesterday just working on technical issues in the drafts. We had previously agreed on all these issues earlier in the week. We want to move forward quickly. The bill will be introduced Monday, and we're prepared to act quickly. This is all about kids and jobs. This is our focus, and we want to make sure something gets passed quickly so that we deal with the unemployment and all the other issues, paycheck protection plan, tax credits to rehire people, and money for schools.
Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with the entire 10-minute clip. And honestly, that was Chris Wallace. Now, Fox, for all my friends out there who's saying, AJ, damn it, you're always swinging to the left. No, this is your people, your guy, all right? Your guy, Chris Wallace, on Fox News, the president's private TV network. This is your guy posing the questions to the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, who directly consults the president. Now, again, this is a Startup Junkie. We're all about business, but as I said to you before, we can have differences of opinion as it relates to politics, as it relates to religion, as it relates to whether or not we think that, you know, the entire country should reopen and we should get back to business as normal, or we should shut everything down until this thing kind of dissipates. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all connected economically, right? And so that is why we're actually covering this tonight. So let's kind of chop it up and break down what Mnuchin pretty much was saying. Now, he said Monday. Now, this was a Sunday show. Now, today is Monday. So let me tell you what happened Monday. Today, that is. Well, they didn't agree on anything. All right? They did not agree on anything as it relates to extended unemployment. Well, the unemployment boost, right? Some Republicans in the Senate want a flat rate, and that flat rate proposed the boost to the current unemployment, whatever you're getting, is $200 extra per week. And other Republicans, and this is backed by the administration, and don't believe me, look it up for yourself, wants 70% of whatever your current salary was to make that the number of unemployment benefits. Now, do you know what logistical, and this is just my opinion, but this opinion is also shared by many on the left and the right, what kind of logistical nightmare it would be trying to figure out what is 70% of his salary, what is 70% of her salary, what is 70% of his salary, state by state. Think about that, all right? I mean, it is such a logistical nightmare when it's just so simple just to give a flat rate. And that's just my opinion, and that is the opinion that's shared even on the right, even on the Republicans, even on the Republican side in the Senate by many of those Republicans. Now, just to give you some context on how much the Republicans are in the Senate are stating that the bill should be, they're a little bit over $1 trillion, where the HEROES Act that was passed by the House, passed by the Democrats, was $3.2 trillion. Now, I can tell you this for a fact, because the Senate is controlled by the Republicans, and of course, you have a Republican president that has to sign off on this. It's like 2 against 1. So they're going to meet somewhere in the middle. But guess what? The one thing that they can agree on is the $1,200. So with that said, I just want to play this for you, and you tell me then we'll come back and then we'll talk about it. Check it out.
President Trump, others at the White House pushed for the economy to reopen. We did, and now cases have skyrocketed and the economy appears to be taking yet another hit. Isn't it clear that the country reopened too quickly, wiping away the progress that had been made, prolonging harm to the economy?
Well, Jake, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of generalizations there. First of all, I don't think the economy is going south. I think it's going north. And I think that there's a bunch of indicators. Let me focus on that. I know something about that. You're in a housing boom right now. You're in a retail sales boom right now. You're in an auto car boom right now. Manufacturing, look at the ISM indexes, all are booming. New business applications are skyrocketing. Apple Mobility Index is very strong. And the jobs picture remains strong. There was a number of unemployment claims last week that slipped, but it was a seasonal adjustment problem. It's actually the lowest since early March. Continuing claims, which is going to predict the July jobs number out in a week or so, are the lowest they've been in almost 3 months. So I don't buy it. Now, I will acknowledge that in some of these spiking hot spots, yes, absolutely, you're going to see a moderation of this recovery, no question. On the other hand, Jake, apart from Texas, Arizona, and Florida and California, where, by the way, Deborah Burke says there's some signs of stabilization. The whole Northeast is over. Right. Most of the Midwest is, the whole Northeast is open, most of the Midwest, Jake. Well, okay, but
Florida,
you've
Texas,
got the
California,
entire Northeast section.
Some pretty big states.
They are big states, and I don't deny that there's going to be some impact. I don't think it's a huge impact. I mean, what we're seeing in the data so far is that in those areas, yes, those big four states, not so much, by the way.
Let me ask you about that
Arizona,
data.
not so much Texas.
Okay, all right. All right, so if you don't know who that guy is, that's the economic advisor to the current administration and the White House, right? That's Mr. Larry Kudlow. All right. So let me just break this down. There's an 18-week running total of 52 million people who file for jobless claims. Okay. Now I shared that with you in an image. Okay. I don't know. Let me see if I still have that image. Do I still have that image? No, that's not the image. That's Microsoft. That's the Microsoft guy. But anyway, no, I don't have it up. But you guys know I actually shared that image with you. And last week the jobless claims came in at 1.4 million. So Larry Kudlow says that there's some seasonal adjustment. Larry. That's not so much true, my friend. All right. Now, as far as the hotspots, right? Yeah, they are the states that opened up. You have DeSantis in Florida. You have Abbott here in Texas. And honestly, I forgot who was in the other state. I forgot the governor in the other state. Yes, there was a rush to open. There was a rush to keep the economy going. And, when all indications or indicators said that, hey, man, maybe we need to, pump the brakes on this. So anyway, so what is the state of play? In other words, what is the low or the lowdown on everything that Larry Kudlow was saying? Well, one, in my opinion, is not really true. All right. From an economic standpoint, being a business guy, being a guy who teaches in the MBA program and develop course content for universities all around business, all around economics, all around all things business, from the stock market to Main Street business, I can tell you that what he's saying is definitely not true. And he's a finance guy, all right? The other thing that he said, and I don't know if you caught this or not, was that all indicators was that the economy is booming. Now, sure, if you look at the stock market, if you look at the drive up in the stock market and all these different companies that are reporting earnings, when you really look at it, it's really strong FANG stocks. So if you don't know what FANG are basically technology stocks. There's Facebook, there's Apple, there's Netflix, there's Google, and of course you have service companies, that are pushing out services, basically serving people. Yes, that is true. However, on the whole, on the economy, I'm going to take you back to 2008 when Obama actually took office. Obama was losing about 800,000 jobs a week when he actually took over the economy when he became president. Now, I must admit that President Trump has had a strong economy. I mean, the numbers don't lie. Women lie, men lie, but the numbers don't. Unless they're skewed, okay? So the economy is not strong as it was before, all right? And I gather to say that it's a direct reflection of the current environmental problem that we have, also known as the pandemic, all right? So what should we do, right? Because we have, before we get deeper into that, I'm just going to share this last video with you, and then we're going to come back. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk a little bit about it. So check it out.
And unemployment benefits are expiring this week for 25 million Americans. But the Republican Party still has not landed on a proposal to counter the Democrats. Where do things stand on that right now? And will those $600 in additional unemployment benefits be extended?
Well, the original benefits will not. We actually, the original unemployment benefits actually paid people to stay home, and actually a lot of people got more money staying at home than they would going back to work. And so the president's been very clear. Our Republican senators have been very clear. We're not going to extend that provision. We are going to be prepared on Monday to provide unemployment insurance extension that would be 70% of whatever the wages you were prior to being unemployed, that it would reimburse you for up to 70% of those wages, hopefully as a way to get people back on their feet. We're prepared to do that.
Can I stop you right there, sir? Because
yeah,
state unemployment administrators have said that that's going to be almost impossible to administer, and people are going to face real gaps before they get money.
Well, we've actually looked at that. I've actually been on the phone with Secretary Scalia, Secretary of Treasury Steven Mnuchin. We believe that in a combination of working with Secretary Mnuchin and Secretary Scalia, we'll be able to find a way to actually provide a threshold that will meet that guideline. Yes, some of the state benefit computer systems are antiquated, and so we're going to have to work from a federal government standpoint. Secretary Mnuchin is willing to step in and help with that. It's our goal to make sure that it's not antiquated computers that keep people from getting their benefits. But as we look at trying to make sure that we get this economy back going again, and actually the president's done an outstanding job there. We had an estimated 40 million people that were going to be unemployed. It never got even close to that number. We're still well beyond where we would hope a healthy economy would be, but it's improving very quickly. And so the Secretary and I have been on Capitol Hill. As you know, over the weekend, we'll be back there again today, putting the final touches on a bill that Leader McConnell plans to introduce tomorrow. But honestly, I see us being able to provide unemployment insurance, maybe a retention credit to keep people from being displaced or.
Okay, so before I comment on that, I want you to watch this video here. So check it out.
Steve Mnuchin said earlier today about these negotiations on Capitol Hill.
We're not going to use taxpayer money to pay people more to stay home. So we're going to transition to a UI system that is based upon wage replacement. We've talked about approximately 70% wage replacement, and we're just going through the mechanics of that.
Sahil, what would a 70% wage replacement mean in practice? How likely are Democrats to go along with that?
Well, it would mean a lot of people get less in unemployment payments than they are getting now. And the reality is this is a division among Republicans. They have not decided whether to do a 70% wage replacement, which is the administration's position, or to go with what some other Republicans are suggesting, which is to keep it flat. They want to lower the amount from 600. But I spoke to some Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham who want it to be flat because they argue it's far more complicated for states to set up a system where you have to look at everyone's prior income. Now, as for Democrats, their position at this moment is simply extend the 600. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has passed a bill that does that, extend the 600 a week through January. And I can't get any more out of Democratic aides when I push them on this because they say, look, we're not going to negotiate with ourselves when Republicans can't even come up with a counteroffer, can't even come up with a position. So they're waiting to see what Senate Republicans come up with here, that if it actually is a unified Republican front. And then, of course, they will have to negotiate something because the Senate and the White House are, of course, controlled by Republicans. The Democrats are not going to get everything they want.
Exactly. They're not going to get everything they want. So, okay, between the two videos, I'm going to go ahead and share with you my assessment of it. But first and foremost, let me just say this. The one thing that they're all agreeing on, the next $1,200 check will happen. They're all agreeing on that. There are some changes in terms of the income, and I've shared that with you. And basically, the income levels or the requirements have changed. For example, for all those individuals, single person filing, single, basically, if you make $75,000 or less, you're likely to get the $1,200. Now, for a married couple that's up to $150,000, you are likely to get the $1,200. And that is where we are with the $1,200 check. So that is the one thing that the Republicans and the Democrats can agree on, that hardworking Americans are suffering and, financially, and they need some kind of economic boost. The one thing that they cannot agree on is how much to give as it relates to the unemployment boost. Now, that is tension, as you've seen through the videos, between two factions of the Senate Republicans, where one side wants 70%, and Lord knows, I don't even see how that's even possible to basically everyone basically get 70% of whatever their salary was currently when they were working versus maybe just a flat amount. Now, that flat amount, that original amount was $600 per basically per week. That was the boost, right? So sure, the Republicans are correct. There were a lot of people who were actually getting more by staying home versus going to work. And why is that? Well, I can tell you this. If you're working on a low-wage job, and say you're working on, maybe you're making like barely minimum wage, and then all of a sudden, say you work 80 hours and you barely make $1,000, and I'm talking about take home, but then you get unemployment where you get an extra $2,400 a month. So they're basically talking about bringing that number down from $2,400 to only extra $200 per week would be $800. So that's a huge dip. Now, if you just happen to be on the higher side before you got laid off or furloughed, say you're making $100,000, $200,000, and they're talking about giving you 70% of your salary, you smiling right now. You know what I mean? So there's so many different aspects of it and so many different ways that you can look at it. But just do know that, one, the $1,200 check will definitely happen because they do agree on that. But they do not agree on how much or what the unemployment boost should be. Remember, that ends the 31st, which is the end of this month. And I also want to point out to you that evictions are about to happen. Matter of fact, well, technically, the nationwide moratorium on rent and mortgage evictions, basically, if you were living in a property that had a federally backed mortgage, you could not get evicted. However, because that has ended, you can get evicted now. And they need to do something about that. So if you go back on some of my videos and check out what I shared with you on the HEROES Act, the HEROES Act actually addressed all of that. It addressed contact tracing. It addressed sending money to the states. It addressed so many different things. The one thing that I can't remember it addressing, and one thing that is a red line, a red line in the sand for Mitch McConnell, is the protection of, say, universities as well as businesses as it relates to them being sued, and in the event that someone comes back to work and they get sick. Now, they have a lot to do, and they have a lot to talk about. They have a lot to negotiate. But at this point, they need to just, and I'm talking about the Senate Republicans, they need to just agree amongst themselves on what they should do about unemployment. And then everyone needs to come together. That's the Republicans and the Democrats, and do something about stopping all of these evictions, okay, that are soon to happen. Because typically you have 30 days, there's a process in which there's an eviction process, okay? So it takes a while to get evicted. However, if there is no moratorium, in other words, if there's no stop on it, then it will happen. And if that does happen, ask yourself this question. What if all of a sudden millions of people are homeless? We already have a homeless problem. I live in Houston. People are living under freeways in tents. Okay? I know people in California, people like in Portland, they said, man, the homeless problem is, it's terrible out here. So if they don't do something about what is already a plaguing problem, a salient issue, then there is no way that the economy, and this is just my opinion, based on my years of experience in business, based on my years of experience in understanding economics, there is no way that the economy is going to get better if people are sleeping out of their cars. And that's from personal experience. I know what it's like to lose everything and have to sleep in your car. So that's where we are. For all those who are checking us out tonight, this is a new segment that I promise I will do as a part of the Startup Junkie called State of Play. State of Play will be 100% of what's going on in the government that affects you and your business, or you starting a business, or you just as an individual, trying to, swim above water, make it in this economy. In business, we have this thing called disaster recovery. In business, we have this thing called business continuity, right? And it's real simple. You have a plan. You have a plan. Your plan is to mitigate risk. Your ultimate plan is to mitigate risk and protect profits. There needs to be a plan right now, an agreement that protects each and every American in this country. Thank you for checking out Startup Junkie. Be sure to listen to the Startup Junkie live podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, as well as iHeartMedia. This has been the State of Play. Appreciate everyone for checking us out. Also, if you have not registered, I only have like 3 seats available for the live Zoom training this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. Please drop down in the body of this post and click on the link and register. After 25 people, I'm not letting anyone in because this is a live Zoom training on how to do business in the digital economy. This is what you should be doing to survive, okay? What you should be doing to thrive in an economy that's based on technology. In an economy that doing business the old school way just will not suffice. Perfect example is Carvana. Their new commercial says, when we said that we were going to start a new way of shopping for cars 100% online, they told us it wouldn't work. Well, guess what? It's working. We want to show you how to do business in the digital economy. So drop down, only a few seats left. Click on the link below and register. So until next time, everyone, I appreciate everyone for checking out Startup Junkie tonight. I'm AJ, your host, and I'm out. Take care.